Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're analyzing a tool that's so common you likely have 5 of them scattered around your home, but we're going to expose its rarely discussed role as a neurophysiological weapon.
We're talking about the tactical application of light.
Exactly. We aren't here to talk about, just turning on a lamp. We are diving into the science of sensory control and threat management using focused, high-intensity illumination. Our mission today stems from a fascinating stack of source material, everything from specialized tactical training guides to cutting-edge neurovisual science research.
And these sources, they treat light not just for visibility, but as a deliberate neurophysiological control variable in defensive encounters.
Right. So we're going to break down the precise anatomy of visual disruption, understand the science behind it, true night blindness, and connect that biology directly to operational doctrine.
What's fascinating here is how the whole application of illumination it fundamentally transforms when you understand the mechanics of the human eye.
It's not just about seeing anymore.
No, we're looking at how doctrine shifts from simply observing an environment to actively manipulating an adversary's central nervous system. This knowledge takes a flashlight and turns it into a tool of physiological leverage.
A non-lethal, high-speed disruptor.
Exactly.
Okay, so to really grasp this, we have to start deep inside the biology. You mentioned the retina. Let's start there, with the biology of the blackout. Trace the path of light for us.
Absolutely. Think of the eye as a really sophisticated camera. Light first passes through the cornea, which is that clear outer layer, and then through the lens, which focuses it.
And the pupil is the aperture, controlling how much light gets in.
Precisely. The light then passes through the pupil and is projected onto the back surface, the retina.
And the retina, that's the critical component for us. That's the film.
That's where it all happens. That's where phototransduction occurs. The process of converting light into electrical signals the brain can actually interpret.
Yeah.
And the retina has 2 critical types of photoreceptor cells, the cones and the rods.
Most of us have heard about cones. They give us color, right?
They do all the daylight heavy lifting. You've got about 6 to 7 million of them, and they're highly concentrated in the fovea, that little pit in the center of your retina that gives you sharp, direct focus.
So that's photopic vision, daylight.
Yep, photopic vision. They handle color, high spatial acuity, all the fine print.
Okay, but in a low light scenario, it's the other cells that really matter.
That is where the rods come in. They are the true workhorses of the dark. You have far more of them, around 120 million, and they're mostly in your peripheral retina.
So they're for scotopic vision, low light.
Scotopic vision. They are critical for detecting motion outside of your direct line of sight. And, importantly, they are exponentially more sensitive to light than the cones are.
So if you're operating in the dark, you are relying almost entirely on those 120 million rods.
100%. And this is where the vulnerability comes in.
This is where it gets really interesting.
It does. It's about the photochemistry. Rods rely on a light-sensitive pigment called rhodopsin to function. When you've been in the dark for a while, that pigment builds up, making you highly sensitive to light.
And what happens when a sudden, blindingly intense beam of light hits that rhodopsin-rich retina?
Instantaneously, the rhodopsin undergoes what's called photochemical bleaching.
Bleaching.
It's chemically dismantled. It becomes unusable for sending signals to the brain. Think of it like a flash bulb exploding right in front of old camera film. The film is just completely overloaded. Useless for a time.
So their scotopic vision, their night vision is just gone.
Instantly.
But the key tactical fact that the sources all hammer on is the recovery time. This isn't a quick blink and it's over situation.
Not at all. The research is extremely clear on this. The regeneration of that rhodopsin pigment, it's a slow biological process. It requires approximately 20 to 40 minutes for the rods to fully restore their function.
20 to 40 minutes. In a conflict, that is an eternity.
It is. If a subject is hit with intense light in the dark, they are instantly in a state of functional night blindness. For the next half hour, they lose their peripheral awareness, their ability to track movement, their depth perception is a state of severe prolonged vulnerability.
So the light is really a tool of temporary, targeted physiological incapacitation.
That's the perfect way to put it.
Okay, so that's the chemistry, but you said this is a 1-2 punch. What's the immediate neurological response, the reflex?
Right. Before the rhodopsin even has time to fully bleach, the brain reacts. Acute, high-intensity light triggers the pupillary light reflex. This is completely involuntary.
Mediated by the optic nerve.
And relay centers in the midbrain, yeah. The result is a rapid, forceful constriction of the pupil.
The eye's defense mechanism.
Exactly. It's trying to reduce the amount of energy hitting the retina. But this constriction also physically impairs their vision, especially if the light is then removed. A tiny pupil is terrible for gathering light in the dark.
So it compounds the problem.
It does.
Yeah.
You've got the pupil constricting, limiting the visual field, and at the same time, the rods are being chemically bleached. So what does the subject actually experience in that moment?
In terms of degraded capabilities.
Yeah. The sources point to about 5 core areas of degraded performance. First, a massive drop in visual acuity. Sharp vision is gone.
Yeah.
Second, depth perception becomes completely unreliable. Spatial judgment is shot.
So you can't navigate, you can't judge distance. What about movement?
Third, they lose effective motion tracking. All those peripheral rods, the motion detectors, they're offline. They're blind to movement on their flanks.
Wow.
Fourth, vestibulo-ocular coordination is degraded. That's what keeps your vision stable when you move your head. When the visual input is scrambled, they get this nauseating, destabilizing effect.
And then the last one.
Cognitive processing speed, it just slows way down. The brain is getting noisy, insufficient, or just contradictory visual data. It's trying to solve an impossible puzzle.
So their world becomes this blurry, two-dimensional, unstable mess that they have to process under extreme stress.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, stress is the ultimate multiplier here.
Right, because this isn't happening in a lab.
Exactly. The sympathetic nervous system kicks in fight or flight. You already have tunnel vision, impaired fine motor control. The light-induced degradation is magnified by all of that. They are slower to react, slower to decide, less accurate. The light imposes a massive, momentary neurocognitive stall.
That biological damage sets the stage for the next question. What's the right tool for the job? Let's move from the science to the hardware. Handheld lights versus weapon-mounted systems.
Well, the choice is highly contextual. The main advantage of a handheld light is its independence. You can use it for non-lethal search functions, without pointing a weapon at someone.
Which preserves some really important legal and safety boundaries.
It does. But the obvious disadvantage is it occupies one of your hands.
Limiting your grip, your ability to reload, anything else you need to do.
Correct. Weapon-mounted lights, or WMLs, solve that. They allow for one-handed firearm operation, and the light is perfectly aligned with the muzzle. The advantage is speed, ergonomics.
But the disadvantage is pretty significant.
It is. Anything you illuminate is necessarily covered by the weapon. That raises some profound biomechanical and, frankly, legal considerations.
Critical trade-off. Now let's talk about the beam itself. I think a lot of people assume a strobe effect is the most disorienting. Is that what the data shows?
That's a great misconception, actually. While a strobe can induce disorientation, the evidence-based tactical preference is overwhelmingly for continuous, high-intensity illumination.
Really? Why does a steady beam win out?
Because the goal isn't just to confuse the target, it's to control the target. A strobe's flicker can impair the defender's perception just as much as the subject's. It sacrifices clarity.
I see. So you're introducing noise for both sides.
Exactly. Continuous light, on the other hand, provides a clear, stable source for you to operate around while maximizing the bleaching and pupillary constriction effect on the subject. Stability and overwhelming intensity win over flashiness.
That brings us to the ultimate operational concept from these training guides, the wall of light. Okay, let's unpack this. What exactly is the wall of light in tactical terms?
It's the application of maximum photometric dominance. You're projecting a high luminance, focused beam. We're talking 500 lumens or more directly at the adversary's eyes and upper torso. The goal is to create extreme contrast.
An impossible visual gradient between the target and the dark surroundings.
Right. You're not just throwing light. You are weaponizing the physics of contrast, and that's how you get tactical control.
How does that work specifically?
Well, you achieve control in 3 key ways. First, as we covered, you overload the subject's rod-mediated peripheral vision. Their night vision is gone.
Okay.
Second, you're simultaneously silhouetting them from your perspective. They become a high-contrast, easy-to-track target against your light.
And the third way.
And this is crucial. It preserves your visual function. By controlling the beam, you're operating in the relative dark, allowing your own peripheral vision to stay functional while theirs is annihilated.
So the result for them is a total sensory shutdown and spatial disorientation.
Precisely. It disrupts their orientation, their decision cycle, their reaction time. That window of disruption is critical. It lets you create distance, call for support, reposition to a point of advantage.
You gain command of the confrontation timeline.
You do. Their ability to act is fundamentally impaired.
Now, We've focused on this as a low-light tool, but the sources are clear that light is effective even in broad daylight. That seems counterintuitive.
It's a critical nuance, and it's what separates basic application from expert application. Even in photopic, daylight environments, a high-contrast focal beam is a force multiplier.
So it's not causing night blindness, but it's disrupting a different system.
Doing the system entirely.
Yeah.
Visual accommodation, the eye's ability to focus. When you hit someone with an intense, localized beam, it forces the muscles controlling their lens to adjust instantly and dramatically. This slows down their visual accommodation and also impairs saccadic eye movements.
The little jumps your eyes make to scan the environment.
Exactly. Even in daylight, that sudden stall causes a transient perceptual hesitation. It degrades their situational awareness at the most critical moment. We're talking about a disruption measured in milliseconds.
But in a confrontation, milliseconds are everything.
Everything.
This has been a true deep dive into applied human physiology. It's really remarkable that knowledge of the visual system, just the difference between rods and cones, is now directly integrated into defensive doctrine.
Absolutely. The core takeaway here is that light, when you apply it strategically, is a neurophysiological force multiplier. It alters the balance of control not through kinetic force, but by predictably exploiting these fundamental biological mechanisms.
Rhodopsin bleaching, pupillary reflex.
The disruption of visual processing. It's immediate, non-lethal incapacitation by controlling how the subject perceives their world.
It transforms a flashlight from a simple visibility tool into a sophisticated high-speed advantage.
It does. The defensive application of light fundamentally changes conflict dynamics. And this raises, I think, an important question for you, the listener, to mull over.
Go on.
If detailed knowledge of human physiology provides this level of control through just one sensory input, light, what other predictable sensory inputs, like sound or thermal energy, are tactical assets that we have yet to fully leverage into similar methods of non-lethal dominance?